Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marta. Welcome to session 6C, Emergency Preparedness Overview. I would like to introduce Lori McBride, Deafblind Employment Specialist, DBES, with Helen Keller National Center for Iowa and Minnesota. Services provided fall under job development, such as online job searching skills, job interviews, solving transportation challenges, and education of reasonable accommodations to employers. Provides information and resources to family members, employers, and local vocational rehabilitation counselors. Originally from Ontario, Canada, Lori worked in Iowa, as a graphic designer for 20 years. Since 2015 has been a trainer with HKNC for the iConnect program, providing consumers training in telecommunications equipment while attending college and university to obtain her bachelor's degree in human service. Lori has adapted to different workplace environments with her hearing loss, and now with combined hearing and vision loss. Her personal experience as a deafblind person is a helpful tool in her DBES position to show consumers and potential employers that people with vision and hearing loss can live and work in their community. Self-advocacy has been an important tool in finding her own jobs and adapting her career path. Using these personal assets to assist other deafblind consumers in finding and retaining employment will result in the right fit for both employee and employer. Casey Weldy, Deafblind Employment Specialist, DBES, with Helen Keller National Center for Indiana State. Focus service includes exploration and identification of careers, educate and enhance personal management and employment skills. Interviewing and resume building. Additionally, Casey coordinates job supports, summer youth career exploration, and work experience, vocational consultation, and work adjustments. She also provides education and training for agency staff members on best practices and means of inclusion and accessibility. An Indiana native, Casey has over 20 years of experience in advocacy both locally and nationally with both deafblind and service dog communities. She has earned her AS and BS in organizational leadership and supervision from Indiana University of Purdue and University of Indianapolis. As a deafblind person, she is active in numerous related organizations. Casey is a 2009 graduate of the Indiana Partners and Policymaking Program by the Indiana Governor's Council for People with Disabilities, and is currently serving as a board member for both Indianapolis Mayoral Advisory Council for Disabilities and Indiana Statewide Independent Living Council. Professionally, she has completed the ACRE certification and is working towards achieving the CESP certification, along with additional professional development to better serve those she works with. Please welcome them to the stage. Thank you.
Has been running a dual sensory loss program, a deafblind program, in collaboration with the Institut Raymond Dewar. Institut Raymond Dewar is a rehab center for deafness and communication.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Casey Weldy, and this is Lori. We want to welcome you here this evening, or this afternoon.
In the greater area of Montreal.
Just a second, please.
I think we are 22% working together.
And we're here talking about emergency preparedness and as an overview. Next slide, please. So the title of our presentation is about Everyone Gets Out Alive. Next slide.
So that kind of professionalism.
So why is it important to have an emergency plan?
The old
First, I want to talk about as far as the contents of this presentation and our information on emergency preparedness is actually a cumulative work from a coworker of ours. Her name is Val Schmala. She's been working on this and passionate about it. She's from the Helen Keller National Center. This is a 30-year project of hers that we have been continuing on with her. But in her words, why is it important to have a plan?
We try, but
basically, during Hurricane Katrina, as you know, it was a very big hurricane that happened in the United States. There was not enough first responders. They, basically when there was over so many calls when Hurricane Katrina happened that there was not even enough responders to respond to the calls. So we got to realize that responders will not come when it gets unsafe for the responder. So what does that mean? When responders cannot help during the storm when it is happening. So what does that mean for the deafblind person? The deafblind person needs to know what to do, plan, and know how to protect themselves. Our goal in all of this is a program teaching deafblind individuals what they need to do to self-advocate and be prepared ahead of time so that they can save themselves. Next slide. So let's talk a little bit about what an emergency is and what a disaster is. The disaster, it may be happening in your area. You need to shelter in place. And it's very important not to wait. Okay, I'll stop. Okay, so an emergency can be, so we're backing up a little bit. So emergency could be something that's sudden, urgent, and unexpected. It's happening, it requires immediate attention. And as far as the immediate action, and usually requires help of some sort. The resources are typically available when there is an emergency. And you must get out fast and evacuate quickly, such as a fire in a building or something. Not talking about a disaster, it's happening in your area, you need to shelter in place. A disaster can be any phenomenon, natural or man-made, that has the potential to cause a lot of destruction to life and property. Okay, next slide, please. So some examples, as you see here, an emergency could be things like a fire, a carbon monoxide, a gas leak, tornado, hurricane, power, earthquake are examples of disasters. It's important to realize too that there is a possibility that a disaster can turn into an emergency for you. Next slide, please. Okay. I am going to turn this over to Lori to talk about emergency bags.
It's Carol Zapiello, a certified O&M specialist working in Montreal.
This is Lori speaking. Part of the emergency planning that you want to do is have an emergency bag. So with the emergency bag, what do you put in it?
Develop strategies with a blind person who wants to
So in your emergency bag, you're going to have this near you. So one at home, you're going to want to have it at work, and you may even need one in a vehicle that you're always in, like your primary vehicle if you have a family car, something like that. So many people leave their purses and keys and coats by their door, but what if an emergency happens in the middle of the night and you have to get out your bedroom window? You can't go out and get your purse near the front door. So you need to have this emergency bag next to your bed. And it works well for traveling. We've all traveled here. So having your emergency bag in your room is something that you still need when you travel. So next slide. So here are some of the content of an emergency bag. Now, as you see up front here, I have my backpack. This is my work backpack. And some people will say it's super heavy, right? Yeah. And I lightened the load just for the presentation. I only have one pocket open, but in my bag, I have a cane. I have a spare cane. I always have a spare one because they do break. You will want a flashlight and maybe some cash and maybe some footwear, slippers or some sort of shoes, flip-flops. I didn't put shoes in there, so it's not heavy. Extra keys to your house, to your car, if you have a vehicle. So these bags are very individual. It's what you need. You may even want to put in like your old hearing aids. I have an old set of hearing aids that I put in my bag, so you need batteries for those. I always carry hearing aid batteries in my pocket. I try not to launder them, but that's a challenge. Also, like I said, your bags are very individual. If you're going to need it to leave, you may even want to put a bottle of water in there if you know you're leaving your house for a short time or a day or so. Next slide. So this is another one of my emergency bags, my photo. So there's sunglasses, there's spare glasses. I have communication cards. I have two types here. One is they're in like a photo album. So they have my emergency contact. You contact my spouse, my stepdaughter, my doctor. If for some reason I can't communicate or can't hear, I can use this. Let's see what else I got in there. I have ID. You never know if you need it. Let's see, medicine. That's an important thing. If you need medicine that you can't just get off the shelf, you may want to put in 2-3 days worth in there. Just remember to change those out every 3 to 6 months, depending on your medication. Let's see. Next slide. Please. So this is a video of me. I'm just going to tell you, I experienced two different years, 2 different types of tornadoes in Iowa. I'm originally from Ontario, Canada. I never experienced tornadoes up here. But down in Iowa, they get them frequently. And the first tornado that was close to my home, I was in my basement with my spouse and our granddaughter, and it scared me so bad that I just didn't know what to do, other than to huddle in my basement. But there needs to be more of a plan. So after learning this emergency preparedness, I have my emergency bag. And several years later, there's another tornado south of my city, like 4 miles from my house. Both tornadoes were 4 miles. Those tornadoes can go anywhere. So having the emergency bag and then access to my local radio and local TV to monitor where that tornado was going, it didn't lessen the fear, but I was more calm and prepared because I knew what to do if something more was to happen. So with that, again, it's huge thanks to Val Kamel for doing this research and doing this course. And I'm going to turn it over to Casey.
Like if someone is, sometimes it happens, like on my last evaluation, there was a lady who was crying because she was nervous and she was afraid to fail. So the intervener was there to comfort her.
All right, this is Casey. Next slide, please.
Usually it's also, so that's okay, but we have more time to.
All right, so we are talking about white canes in an emergency. So we're going to make the assumption here that most everyone's using a white cane. I
I do want to mention that if you don't use a white cane, you can absolutely use something long, a curtain rod, a broomstick, a handle of some sort. This is absolutely something that could be used in place of a white cane, but because of the deafblind population that we're speaking with, we're saying white cane on this. So as an emergency happens in your home and you're trying to, okay, I need to get out a window. I can't make it out the front door, what do I do? You can use the cane or stick or whatever you're using. Put it out the window to feel, is there anything underneath that window? How far down is it? That way you're not trying to jump from a third floor if you don't know where you're at, Okay, I can't reach it, I'm obviously not going to make it. So you can check what's below the window. Is it bushes? Is it trash cans? You can kind of get a feel for what is there, so you're not jumping into something that you're going to hurt yourself with. And then also, the cane is actually reflective, so people would be able to see the reflection as far as first responders. Okay, next slide.
Traffic light or at the forward stops. And then we observe also their orientation abilities.
And one more piece on the white cane that is really important too in the case of flooding and running water. As far as you can use the cane to put into the water if they're running water, just A, to see how deep the water is, and B, if it is flowing fast enough that you're not able to hold the cane in the water, it is flowing too fast for you to walk through as a safety measure. So now let's talk about some devices that can get attention. We've got on here the whistle, flashlight, and vigilant personal alarm, and the air horn, boat horn. So we actually have whistles at our posters. Feel free to come by and get one. You want to use a metal whistle. It can be any, and the reason metal, if there's a fire and it gets hot, the plastic will melt. So that's why we say a metal whistle, as far as if it's for that purpose. Using the metal whistle to draw attention to yourself, and it's so you're not expending all of your energy trying to get somebody's attention. The whistle is much louder. The whistle is usually at 90 decibels, and fire trucks actually run at that noise level. So will get a lot more attention than it will, in the case of flooding, people are up in attics and can't be seen, you can blow the whistle. In the case of an earthquake, if you're under rubble, you have a whistle and you can be seen. As you'll see, I actually have a whistle attached to my lanyard here. So the other piece to that is in a fire, blowing the whistle. That way you're not yelling and you're not breathing in all the volatile smoke and stuff because most people that die from fires die from the smoke inhalation, not from the fire itself.
I do a lot of joke in French, but
So when you need to, let's see, make sure it's right. Hang on just a second. Yes. Okay.
Fast walker, so we observe that.
So for the vigilant alarm,
They can follow the dog.
these are as far as the vigilant alarm and the airboat horn. I'm sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit. So basically with those, that is for the person that doesn't have, they have respiratory problems. They can use that in case, instead of the whistle, something like that. That way if they're not able to blow or so forth, that's an alternate. And we recommend the flashlight. And we've had deafblind individuals say, why should I use a flashlight? I can't see. The flashlight isn't for you. The flashlight is so others can see you and find you. You waving a flashlight around is going to be a beam of light somewhere that shouldn't be there. It'll draw people's attention if you don't have the whistle or if it's not working.
We also
Okay,
teaching
next slide.
like how to put the harness on just to see how they learn.
So now we're going to talk about, as far as exits, being prepared beforehand. So Know and inspect your emergency exits. This is something that should be done even when you are at work, when you're at home, knowing where those are. We know here, we have already mapped it out. You go out these doors over there to the left, there's a fire exit door right over there, down the hallway. In every building you are in, you should be taking a mental note of how to get out of the building. For a deafblind person, it's critical. Even if you're with somebody, ask your SSPs, ask your people that you're with to walk you through how to get out. Because the whole purpose of this training is not to rely on everyone else. For too long, the deafblind community has taken the mentality of someone will come get me. That is not what we're trying to teach here. As a deafblind person myself, you need to advocate and learn for yourself. So know your exits, know what's outside the windows. Is it clear? Are you able to open that window? Can you get through the window? Take 10 minutes and practice it. That's all it takes, is figuring out and knowing where those things are. Having communication cards. So Lori shared the ones. Here's another type of communication card. This is just a printout, but communication cards, like on this one, they can be made in a whole bunch of different ways. First responders or other rescuers may not know sign language. They may not be able to understand how to communicate with you, even as a person with a cochlear implant and hearing aids. If for some reason those quit working, I got to be able to communicate with someone somehow, have a plan. Because and also with the, if it is a quick evacuation, you may not have your other stuff with you that you normally have. Typing this information up, having it in your bag, prepared and ready to go, that way you have it and you are prepared. Your communication card should have your name and communication method. It should have your ICE information, which is your in case of emergency. It should have your medical information, such as allergies, doctor's name and contact info, your blood type. And then for those of you that sign, what interpreting agency do you prefer? Or who is your interpreter that you normally use? And other things, list others in your home, such as your pets, your kids, your service dog. Now on to the electronic Lori's showing these here. We have these as a resource on this presentation. We have printouts that can be used, that anyone can access those. So on the electronic file storage, we recommend that individuals have an electronic file. And the reason we say this is if you're evacuating quickly and it's because of a disaster, that way everybody else and their brother is trying to call the homeowner's insurance and or the renter's insurance, and it's like, okay, my home's been destroyed, I'm not at home, what do I do? You have this information with you. You have a scan of your policy with the policy number, and you can say, this is my policy, here's my number, you should be able to access it. So things that we suggest putting on this electronic file: flood, fire, homeowners, renters, auto insurance, your health and Medicare cards, a scan of those, a scan of your driver's license, passport, or your state identification card. Scan all the cards in your wallet on the front and back. That way you know what is in your wallet in case that gets lost, so that you have the ability to report those missing. So that's such as credit cards, bank cards, medical cards, banking information. And now I'm going to turn it back over to Lori. Go to the next slide. For types of emergency alerts.
Noise reducer, the programmation will shut down the noise, and you will think that the truck is gone, the truck is further. So
This is Lori speaking. So types of emergency alerts. We've reviewed a few of them, but these are some other apps that you can put on your phone. And one that we use in the US is called Smart 911. And on there, you can actually put in your whole profile. You can put in family members, pets, and it gives you alerts to, like, weather alerts for disasters, thunderstorms, flooding, and any of that, but it still gives you that electronic information of your household. Some other alerting, well, and I looked up in Canada, they do have some of their own alerting systems, and one that I found was Alert-able. And my parents live like 2 hours from here, so I track their storms, and I get their alerts for their weather, and I put their address in. So it's easy enough to do wherever you are with your electronic devices. Some other devices are the Silent Call, VibraCall, Serene Innovation Systems, and a number of others. We have some on our posters if you want to come discuss more about them. Anybody have like a weather radio? I have one of those at home too because of tornadoes. And I'm seeing head nods, so other people have them. So weather radios work well. And you can also set up a support network to let you know in case you do miss something. Maybe your phone is dead, but you can have a family member come to your home and say, hey, did you know this is going on? So set up a support system as well.
Sometimes we have to work with the speech therapist to help them to transmit. But we also use sign, but you will ask that question later, I'm sure. The dog is
So next slide.
has the same training as the blind person.
So we went over communication cards, pen and paper, dry erase boards, whatever is going to work for your communication modalities, is have at least two. I always carry a communication book for me, even though I can voice, just as a backup. We'll go to the next slide. This is a big deal, is for communication in an emergency. Is an emergency X on the back. And if I'll have McKenna show how it's done on Casey, and it's just drawing an X on the back. And then this is where a sighted person is guiding you through the emergency. You just do the X. That means we need to go now. No questions, no discussions, no debate. We need to go now. And it's done. Then once you get to the safe location, then you can explain this is going on. So this is something that you can share with your local fire department or emergency responders. And in our resources with the PowerPoint, there's a letter, a form letter, that you can tailor to meet your needs and send that to your emergency responders. And then have a discussion with them. This is what I would need if I had a house fire. And at least makes them aware of what your needs are. So, next slide. Couple more. So, know what to do, be prepared, and have a plan. And the last slide is, we have a survey that we would like you to fill in. There's also a QR code, on the tables. If you can scan that and fill in that survey, we would greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Casey?
The stop sign. Okay. So we use it only on.
This is Casey. Very quickly, I want to say I know we're running out of time very quickly here.
We will be at the Helen Keller Emergency Preparedness posters. We do have 3 posters out there as well. Please feel free to come see any of this stuff that we have. We do have whistles at those posters, and we would be happy to answer any questions. So we're definitely here to talk. There is, for Helen Keller National Center, will be doing a emergency preparedness webinar during the month of September. It'll be on every Wednesday. It's going to be an online virtual webinar. If you're interested in that, please come by the booth and poster and sign up, and we can send you the information for that.
And then you ask, go for
Thank you for your presentation. I think there are some questions in the audience, so I'm going to bring the microphone over now, okay?
It's no, it's not so silly because we use it since 40 years, beginning.
Hi, my name is Suzanne, and I work for the Chief Accessibility Officer of Canada. Just for internationally, for Canadians in the room, Public Safety Canada is a federal department that looks after emergency preparedness, and they have a site called getprepared.gc.ca that provides, in addition to a lot of the information you provided here, they also have a page on accessibility emergency preparedness. So I just encourage you to check that out. And they also, just given that it's a rather large country, they also, similar to the States, will specify based on the types of emergencies that are most common in your part of the country, whether it be hurricanes, floods, earthquakes, all that sort of stuff. So it's a good resource for Canadians that are in the room, but also international. It's pretty universal advice. Anyway.
You will pass in front of you for sure. Nobody stops. So
don't
it's
step
not
to your
safe
right.
to use it. And it's only for familiar environment. And sometimes it works as.
Hello, my name is Paul Bennett. I'm the husband of Penny, sitting beside me. Penny is deafblind. She has no vision. She has no hearing. She hears through cochlear implants. But if she, as you know, if the cochlear implants are turned off or removed, then she's totally deaf. One of the items that I understand, on the one hand, that you described as having, electronic versions of all your files, which makes, eminent sense in the fact that you would want that. Unfortunately, in the world that we live in, other people would also want that. That's and it's something that I see Penny dealing with every day. Passwords are a major nuisance for her. So, security is something that I wish was more carefully adhered to, but on the other hand, I can understand her point of view. So, having a dongle, a USB dongle lying around with all of your information sounds like an identity theft gift, or for the person concerned, a nightmare. And so I wonder if you could address that. Because if you encode the stuff on the dongle, then as somebody, an emergency responder, may not be able to access it, so then it might as well just not be there.
But he didn't. Stay there. Move a bit to leave her more space.
You're great at it.
And when she will be.
All right, this is Casey. So I have a couple of responses to that. I absolutely understand what you're saying, because I'm actually in a situation myself right now that there's an individual that is kind of going after my identity. However, I personally, what I am using is I'm actually using a secure storage, a private storage thing on the cloud. It's not on the cloud, but it's through a company that I have an app that, that's what I use. That's where my information is stored, in a secure location as opposed to a dongle. Now, to each person, it's their choice of where they have that information. I'm able to access through that through a phone, and it also makes it more accessible for me. For an individual that, as far as keeping that emergency bag should be with you at all times when you leave the home, or at least attempt to be. And I very much appreciate what you're saying, though. It can't, that would have a lot of information on it, which would be, can be concerning. So that is one piece. As for the emergency responder, like the Smart 911 app, and I don't really know where you live, and I'm sure there are other apps in other countries. The Smart 911 app actually has your medical information. It does not activate unless you register the phone number. That app is available in the States. I'm not sure where you are at. As far as in the States, you register your phone number, and it will only activate if a call is made from that number to 911. And when that does, it initiates the information to the first responders on your medical history, anything like that, address, that type of stuff, date of birth, and that stuff. So that is that piece. So, I don't know if there's ways and a dongle can be encrypted or not. So that's things that, at this point, this basic information is intended to at least get someone thinking, and intended to, every person is going to have to choose what works best for them, unfortunately. And that may not be the right situation for your wife. So, unfortunately, we each have to do what will work for us individually. Do you have a comment, Lori? No?
Two more questions.
Okay.
So, Marta speaking, there were two more questions.
It was 68. She's crossing the street.
Hello, everybody. My name is Babin. So I actually am a co-worker of this team, so I'm pretty familiar with their presentation and what they're saying. One thing I wanted to mention was on the terms of security, you can have password-enabled USB functions. So your USB flash drive can't be opened by somebody else because it's an encrypted password that only you will know. Also, what I tend to do is I save all my information in, and I keep mine in my safe. So if I have a USB, I typically have a version of that in the safe, so it'll be able to withstand fire or other things like water. So that can stay in a fire even for about 2 hours.
That way water doesn't affect you.
I also have backups for everything. All my data I can go back to and retrieve from that safe if need be. I have backups on my phone in the cloud storage as well. And that's encrypted with a password before you access it. So nobody else, even if they had my phone or my USB, would be able to have that sensitive information. So just wanted to make note of that.
Thank you. And Marta speaking again. Do you need to respond to that, or can I go to the next question? Next question? Yep.
Just a very quick, Kevin Prince from Deafblind Association New Zealand. Quick bit of experience from our particular perspective. Make sure that wind-up flashlight's got a radio on it as well, because the internet's going to go down if you have that big earthquake like we had. And you can't rely on your mobile phone, because even if you can charge your mobile phone, the cell towers only last about 8 hours on battery. So be aware you could be on your own for quite a while in that kind of event. But FM radio and AM radio is still key.
Okay, so it is now time. So the timing was perfect. Thank you once again for this great presentation. And as a thank you, we do have a couple of gifts for you. And I'm going to get them for you now. Sorry. Oops. Lori? Sorry. I'm dropping things everywhere. and Casey. Thank you again. Everyone give them a round of applause.